another set of leaders coming in from different organizations. So I think Pradeep, if you would like to take this up and introduce the speakers and panelists.
Thank you very much, Arnav. And I am delighted to be here once again and sharing some passion stories and what is happening in different part of the business world. And for that, I have three very exciting gentlemen. First and foremost, I am delighted to present Manish Mehan. Manish, can you please raise your hand and so that we can see who the real Manish is? And by the way, Manish comes with a finance background. I am quite surprised at why the XR world is filled of people with finance backgrounds who seem to be going into high tech. But anyway, Manish is the CEO of a German company, a global giant called TKE. Well, the longest name of TKE, even I get stumbled across, so I just leave it at TKE. But just to say that it's a very well known brand in terms of elevators, escalators, and a whole lot of engineering products. And next, but not second, is Ashwin. Ashwin De Silva is managing director with Accenture in the CIO office. And yet another person who is following his passion, he used to be on the creative side. You can imagine this soft looking guy, he used to be making movies and all that kind of stuff. And today he's taking hard decisions in terms of technology. So, and last but not the least, we have Gulshan. And Gulshan, where are you? I can't see your face. Gulshan is the head of delivery for customer experience with Bosch. And as part of his portfolio, he has AR, VR also with him. So, and again, Gulshan also has been started his life as a chartered accountant. There we go, all you guys, budding chartered
Pradeep,
accountants.
I think everybody is looking forward to see your video as well if you can join that. Yeah.
Everybody is looking forward to what?
To your video, I think you are not on the video.
I'm only appearing as a small guy over here, but I am a small guy anyway. So let's kickstart the discussion and let me start with Manish. Manish, can you tell me, first of all, how did life start as a bean counter and suddenly here you are driving the business for what, 2,200 people, elevators and VR here? What's the story over there?
Yeah, I think when you run operations to that scale, and when you have the right attitude to learn and transform, I think that comes within yourself. So as you rightly mentioned, I was more than a decade working as a CFO, and in that capacity, actually, I was also heading the IT. And I always had a passion to drive the business, make the business more smarter, and I was from that perspective always inclined to the technology. So we were the first ones in our industry to adopt to VR, AR, and other effective technologies, including audio.
Okay, so my question to you is that what part of the business is using VR AR? I mean,
Yeah.
you've got marketing, you've got production, you've got operations, you've got HR, all different kind of business activities. So where are you using VR?
Yeah, correct. So Pradeep,
I
it
just
all
before
started
you
in
answer,
20.
I just want to ask: can people see me or not? Because my camera is on, and I can see myself on the video, but I'm seeing some notes saying that please put on your video and all that. Okay, I don't know.
We
This is the
can't see you.
modern
We
technology.
can't see you yet. We can't see you yet.
Oh, really? So how?
We need another
Anyway,
VR.
this is maybe my hologram will come sometimes. But over to you, Manish.
Yeah, yeah. So see, it all started for us in 2017. In 2017, when we inaugurated, the concept started much before. But in 2017, we started our state-of-the-art, award-winning, we call it multi-purpose facility, because when we call it as a factory, it's a little bit boring. So we call it multi-purpose facility because it's not just the factory where we manufacture the products, but the whole R&D, the whole head office functions, the training, learning, and development. So it's an integrated facility. And we were very clear from day one that we want something, we want to create something where our clients can come in and experience for themselves. It's easy to show the factories, but then just one part of it in the whole business and the ecosystem. So we created an very exciting, it's a customer experience center in our factory here in Pune, Chakan. And this gives, and what we did, we amalgamated, various technologies like VR, AR, interactive apps, and also some, exciting 3D modeling tool, so that the customer can come, they can experience, they can have some fun, and at the end of the day, we can create the brand image which is required to show the validation. So from that perspective, we are heavily using for our clients, to give them the experiences about the products. They can come and design their own elevator, and at the same time, we are also heavily using. I hear a comment that voice is not clear. Is it better now?
There is a bit of a lag. There is tremendous.
Okay.
Yeah, Manish. I think just come closer to the mic if you can.
Yeah. Is it better? Probably the Bluetooth experience is not that good.
I think it's just a slight echo behind it, but yeah, it's better if you can just talk near the mic.
Okay. Yeah. So apart from our customer experience, what we are also using, VR especially, is for the training, and we had an very exciting outcome when we deliver the training through virtual reality, and it actually helps us to simulate various real life safety simulation, which actually you can't do it in your real life. It's too risky, but it helps us to simulate those kind of situations and give back real, or in some cases better than real experience to our employees. Pradeep, back to you.
Pradeep, you're on mute.
It muted me. But a couple of questions come to my mind, but I'll ask you later on. Let me go on to Ashwin.
And we
Ashwin,
can see you now, Pradeep.
you can
Good to
see
see
me.
you.
Oh
Yes, now we
man,
can.
this is called the new technology where you can oscillate between being nondescript and then an avatar and a hologram and then myself. But back to you, Ashwin.
I
So
think we
how
call it
has been
censorship.
so how has been your journey? Where did you start off, and what are you doing now? The title of managing director of Accenture sounds very, kind of. I don't know. What do you kind of just keep ordering people around and just doing whining and dining when all other people do all the hard work? Or what's the story?
I mean, I'm fortunate to be a managing director at Accenture. I'm probably one of the only 400 managing directors out of 2.5 lakh people in India in Accenture. It's under a 1%. But I think I've been given the responsibility of, actually, you said, most of the stuff is going in the West, but I am actually the global lead for Accenture Reality in our CIO, which is getting technology into Accenture. And it comes from actually my experience of setting up TV stations in India, and high quality experience is something that I always loved. And when I joined Accenture, I found that there are a lot of people who know tech but do not have actually the experience of quality. So I thought, why not bring my video production quality and bring it in with technology, and for me, XR is just another device or a screen, but creating content is something that I'm used to. But my role currently is how does our employees, because as IT organization or CIO, we are inward focused. And Accenture, we have 500,000 people across the globe. And with the pandemic, and probably before that, spending so much money on flights to go for a meeting, just for a half an hour meeting and flying across the world back, did not really make sense to me. So we devised solutions that enable our employees to engage, for us to communicate and also learn. So I think those are the three big pillars of what we wanted to do internally. We, of course, we
Oh,
have a big practice of consulting and taking it to customers and experiences, but this is more about how employee engagement and collaboration is something key for us.
so interesting bit. See, as I see from Manish's perspective, he is the actual user of the technology. He's deploying that in the business. When I look at you, you are in a consulting role, in an internal consulting role within the organization. And let me go to the third guy, and guys, guess what? Another chartered accountant. And this chartered accountant is now heading delivery for technology solutions. Oh man. So Gulshan is the delivery head for Bosch. Now, Gulshan, can you please tell us how did you happen to follow your passion, and was it really your passion, and who was paying the bills when you were following the passion? But leave aside that, but what are you doing in VR, AR, MR, XR?
Thanks for that introduction, Pradeep. So yes, definitely I have followed my passion. So I started off as consulting and the classical audit and accounting practice, but then I realized we can leverage technology to kind of solve real business problems, and that is where I started working actively on technology for a few years, and now I see that that has gotten me here, where I'm working with XR and improving experiences of my customers, improving experiences of my own colleagues within Bosch, and yeah, delivering real solutions which make a real impact on business.
So, you said the interesting bit is that if Manish is the customer and Ashwin is the consultant, you are providing the solutions. Okay, so let me now do the reverse order and ask you, Gulshan, can you showcase some or tell us some about your recent interesting work that you've done in VR, AR, XR, MR, or whatever else the acronym might be?
Sure. So we had one project particularly which has been very close to my heart. Yeah, and the way it goes is, in technology, it's quite a common thing. When you have a hammer, everything is a nail for you, right? When I have VR, I'm trying to solve everything with VR. But we bring a different approach from Bosch perspective, where we are trying to look at the problem and then find the best fit of technology to solve it. So one such case where we really made a difference on people's life, on aspects like social inclusion, is something which I delivered recently for one of my customers, and that was a solution which we worked on together. If it's okay, I would like to share a short video and I would walk you through it. Please let me know once it's visible, yeah?
It is.
Great. So I'll just walk you through the video part of it. I'm playing it without the audio, so that makes things a bit simpler, yeah? What we essentially did was worked on social inclusion with a municipality in Denmark, in Europe, yeah? The problem statement is that you have social challenges and learning challenges. They have anxiety issues. They have a learning disorder which restricts them to their home space, and they're not able to travel independently. So we created a solution along with our customer, working closely with them, working with technology experts, working with pedagogues, working with psychologists, working with the municipality and our own XR experts, and created this entire experience which allows the student to learn how to travel, how to commute independently. Yeah. So the best part was this entire experience is created in a game way and gradually moves to a real world experience. So the child, without actually getting bored, without actually struggling, is learning how to travel. And the best part of it is at the end, we were able to get them tested in real world where they traveled independently and they were excited, they were inspired to travel more. They came back asking for more such bus routes, more such uh, destinations which they can take a bus to. And we have been working with that customer actively. We are trying to take it to the cloud, take it to the next level of scale, where those students will explore more. They will go in public without fear. This is how we were able to promote social inclusion. So we can do enterprise trainings, we can do manufacturing trainings all day long and go home. But these are the real stories which at least inspire me to continue being in this space.
Indeed, yes, Gulshan. And if I were to summarize it, it is, kids with special needs who are being trained to travel independently by public transport. And, it involved dealing with whole lot of different stakeholders, including educators, psychologists, technology people, business, and it was done by you guys sitting in India and the customer being in Denmark. Of course, in the pre-COVID days, you would have traveled possibly to Denmark, and you started off with animations to get the people engaged before you went on to real person kind of solutions. I love it. I love it. This is what I call as VR for social good. Now, going back in the reverse manner, Ashwin. Ashwin, during my and Kshitij's talk, we talked about collaboration. We talked about global collaboration. Now, that global collaboration is heading into a new dimension altogether. A lot of organizations are today working to make that immersive. So, can I get some understanding of is that what your role involves within the company and what kind of a work are you doing and can you showcase something?
Yeah, sure. So, Pradeep, good question. We all have been doing VR for a long time, but that's always consumer based. Once we talk about organizations, and that's my role, XR for the enterprise. And when you talk about an enterprise, content data is very, very important, especially with rules like GDPR, GLR. So we need legal reviews, we need data privacy, security. How do you distribute your content to closely now we are going to be buying around 50,000 devices for our public and our employees for doing VR. How do you distribute content? You can't sideload 50,000 devices. So what do you do for MDM? How do you distribute this content is something that we are leading, and we are working with hardware manufacturers. We're working with leading platforms. So not only application but platforms to build the experience and different kind of platforms and on how people can democratize solutions. It's not going to be easy for all our population to wear headsets. So how can we use, especially in our growth markets, can I give them something on a web browser? Can I give somebody on a HoloLens or a Quest or maybe in the future, maybe India will go with Geo glasses. But that is something that my role determines, how to provide experiences, content safely, securely in a large organization. So
So,
if you,
yeah,
yeah,
please.
please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, if you have a
So,
question.
what I also heard was you see, there is so much talk about using VR AR for onboarding employees, and there's also in that process creating digital twins and all that. So, do you have some examples or something
Oh,
similar that you could have done?
yes, I can show you two things. First, you talked about collaboration, and you showed that movie. We like to be the first edge. So I'm going to be sharing my screen quickly, showing you that we are creating our own metaverse, or what we call as a campus. So this is what we are creating: multiple worlds. So you come in a VR experience and avatars, and from a welcome zone, you can go to streets, you can go to inside towers, you can go to cafes, you can go to waterfronts and club area. So we are launching, this is still in beta, where we are launching an entire campus for our users. But what more interesting is, how do I get value out of what I'm doing in VR? So we just launched a new innovation tower in New York, and because of pandemic, not many people could come in, especially when our clients could come in. So what we did is, from CAD drawings, we actually created a whole VR experience in multiple formats. So I'm just showing you a web GL version of our new office in US. And we actually can created 9 different floors, and through VR, we can actually, this is our New York office where we can actually teleport and move around in the space. So completely immersive experiences that we could move across. And then we added interactivity and for learning. So people who want to learn different things on wellness, tech, client experiences can just get more information about the space. So with this, we've been able to get our people across the world, those new joiners who come in, who are quite keen to know what Accenture offices look like, because most of them are working from home, but we give them an experience, and we also conduct meetings in the immersive space for our clients and give them flow walks, because most of them give us projects that we can show where they are getting the projects done.
So a question that I have is that when guests come to your virtual office, do you offer them a real glass of wine or a virtual glass of wine?
So that's great, because in VR we don't have norms to say you can't drink wine during office hours. So we can clink the champagne, or we can offer coffee. We play with safe. So yeah, we have coffee shops. I can show you a nice coffee shop that we have inside our office. So yeah, so we have like a nice coffee bar, which is actually physically available, but this gives us a chance to do all these things.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. That was some interesting photo shoot. So let's now go over to Manish. Manish, see, being an accountant that you started off, of course, now you've taken on the hat of a CEO and now you look at it from all different perspectives. But does your bean counter still stand up when you are spending all that money on setting up experience centers?
Interesting question. When we did set up, yes, I was part of the the finance world where ROI has to be more tangible than feel good factor. So, but as I said, I think we have to be futuristic, and we have to invest in the future technology, and we need to have that belief in ourselves that the money which we are spending, is going in the right direction, and definitely it will have an ROI today or tomorrow. Which we got at that point of time was, since we were building the whole state-of-the-art facility, so we could, absorb some of the cost as a project cost, and we could bundle those up. But now, if I look back, I think that was money worth spent. I will tell you an interesting story. What we have actually done, we have a small room in our experience center, and we don't officially label it, but internally we label it as the contract signing room. So when our clients are there, so after the feedback session, once they have the entire experience of the VR, so there are, I would say, significant contracts which are signed across the table in our, unofficial named contract signing room, so as to say. So definitely, I see, a return from that perspective. And the other thing is, now if you look at, for example, training setup, people had a typical classroom training setup. How do you calculate ROI on a classroom training setup? You can deliver training through, online, Zoom, Teams, or whatever modules. But I think there are certain things which are simulated, which needs to be simulated with a real life experience. Now, I can't ask our service technicians to, stand on the top of the elevator and see how they are finding a risk, right? But if I can simulate the same thing, through virtual reality, I think the objective is met, and the remembrance and the recall value would be quite high in that case. So yes, the technology does not come cheaper, but I think it's getting better. But at the same time, I think whatever the capacity allows, the budget allows, I think there can always be a start, because if there's no start, then probably you will not get an opportunity to start.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm actually quite delighted that you mentioned that experience because end of the day, this is exactly an area, and that is why training is kind of just going gangbusters insofar as VR/AR is concerned. Because just look at occupation health and safety. The example that you gave. I mean, firefighting. We have a lot of bushfires in Australia. You can't actually get a person to go and fight bushfires and then learn in the process. So how do you create that simulation and that visualization is exactly great examples of how this technology is being used. Now, people like Gulshan and Ashwin have scored some brownie points because they got some, good looking videos also. This guy Gulshan even had some animation. So do you have something to show?
I can show a real video. No animation. let, let me share my screen and let me know if that's visible.
Sure.
Is the screen visible?
Yeah, it is.
So it's a short video which gives a glimpse of our experience center actually. So normally these webinars I also do from our experience center live, but because it's Saturday and the facility is closed, probably I reserve it for another day. But that's how, the whole big experience center, 6,000 square feet, and we can bring our customers there and show them some real things on the experience center.
Very nice, very interesting. Thank you very much. Let me now move. Now again, let me start with Ashwin. Ashwin, so what about internal? Because you also work for a very commercially oriented company like any other large business. So how do you build up the business case? Because very often you're looking at very intangible benefits. How are you measuring those? So let's get your thought on that.
So we all are IT folks at the back of it. IT gets the least amount of budget. Everyone thinks internal spend is no spend is a waste of money. But what I truly believe, if the experience is not great, it has no value. So what I developed internally was a 5-star experience. Now, it's all about return of investment. So and if you look at it, I create high quality 4K, 8K experiences for devices. So when there's a project that comes in, I create very high quality for VR devices. And then I take the same 3D asset or the experience and put it into a platform like Microsoft Allspace. And then I create something like that, which is you just saw was the WebGL. If I can send it out to 50,000 people and I spend $10,000, it's probably 20 cents a user, right? So that way I tell people it costs you only 20 cents per user, and that's how I actually get my dollars to spend. So I get enough of money to build high quality stuff for high quality for small number of people, which is purely our clients. I can use a mid experience for interaction, and I use for socializing and showing the case the experience. I use the WebGL experience.
Great. Gulshan, we took the example of VR for social good, but very often we are talking of conceptual parameters. We are talking about visualization, something people have never seen. So do you have to spend a fair bit of time in convincing people to kind of look at POCs and all that for these kind of activities? So what's been your normal challenges and where do you see the opportunities insofar as immersive technologies are concerned? This is for you, Gulshan.
Gulshan, you're on mute.
I think just to add in here, Manish, I think you're still sharing your screen. You can, yeah. Thanks for that.
Still not coming. Yeah, now you're coming through now. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So
no,
you're going back on mute.
Okay, so what I will do is, I will, Priyanka, can you see if you can help out Gulshan as to what is happening? And in the meanwhile, I'll go across to Manish. Manish, you see, in this VR, AR applications, I see that you've already gone into Experience Center, which is the CRM side of the business, which is the marketing side of the business. I see that you've already gone into training, which is more onto skills. What about the operation side? You know that somewhere the lift is not working, and somebody goes over there to fix the lift, and does he wear smart glasses, or does he just fixes it? Or are you looking at using VR, AR in those kind of situations?
Yeah, so it's a very valid point, Pradeep, because traditionally, if you see now, again, I'm coming from the business side, and traditionally, if you see, the buildings in India was low rise. We are talking about 6 stop, 7 stop, 10 stop, but since the urbanization has kicked in, now the buildings are getting taller and taller, and there's in competition among states. Who can build the skyscrapers. So what does that essentially means? That the elevators are actually the lifeline of the building. Now, if you're staying on a 20th floor, I'm pretty sure you don't want to walk even once. You can go to the gym for sure for the fitness, but you would not like to walk down the stairs even once in your lifetime. So that means it's very important that availability of an elevator is 24/65 days. Now, traditional method was always a technician used to go to the job site, do a health check, spot the problems, fix it. But it's not that easy to spot the problem there and fix the problems at the job site and in a single visit. So globally, what we are doing, we have come up with a concept called, and Max is kind of is again use AI and mixed reality, where all the elevators are connected through a magic box in the controller. Now, what does that do? Through machine learning, artificial intelligence, it keeps sending the data to predict, what kind of faults could come in an elevator, right? And that's where, you can bring the value addition and sense the problem before it occurs and do a fair amount of preparation to ensure, the uptime is as high as possible. So all across the globe, we have started piloting. In India, we would pilot in this year. And I'm very sure that in few years to come, this would become as a base technology, which everybody would offer as a standard to ensure the buildings and the elevators are safe and uptime are high.
That's very nice to hear. And next time when I give a presentation somewhere, I must get a picture of that magic box. Make it very attractive kind of a story. But love it, love it. Now back to Gulshan. Gulshan, now we are not going to operate on extrasensory perception, hoping that the technology works. So back to
Yes.
you, and tell us, what kind of challenges and opportunities do you have in the VR as you kind of talk to different clients in terms of solutions which they have not seen as yet?
Yes. So, like what you mentioned, right, there is still quite a bit of hesitation in adopting XR. And any conversation which I have with my customers or partners is starting with a POC. Okay, can you give us a POC? Can you do us a proof of concept? But I think gradually, at least in the last 1.5 years, with the pandemic accelerating things, I'm seeing a change. Yeah. Today, we have enough use cases developed and deployed. We have enough examples in production that if a customer has a hesitation, I can take them through some of those cases and give them a glimpse of what they are heading towards. Yeah. So that is one challenge which is gradually getting resolved. It helps us that we have a few things in our kitty done. The second challenge is on ROI. Any organization who's going to they expect an ROI. This again is changing. In older times, the cost is going to be here and your benefits are here. But with technology improving, with better and better hardware coming out, better SDKs coming out, the cost is really coming down. And people are starting to see that the person doesn't have to travel to give a training. They don't have to go to install a machine. They don't have to be there in person. It can be achieved at least to a similar extent, if not perfectly, by using VR. So we are gradually seeing that shift. And we are somewhere at this. We still have to go to a level where ROI really completely, absolutely exceeds the cost, right? The return exceeds the cost. But we are gradually getting there. A third challenge which I see is the thought of scale. Yeah, everyone wants to do XR. Everyone wants to run a few pilots, a few POCs. That's the conversation which I'm having with my customers. But quite often it is an experiment. It is a check mark to tick off saying, okay, we are doing something in XR. What I really would want to see, and these are the conversations which I have, is while I'm doing the first stage, this is how I would want it to scale. Yeah, that thought of scale is built in our processes today, in our projects today, so that when it succeeds, it gets there, so that we don't have to discard the POC entirely and do an entirely fresh development. So the thought to scale, one challenge, the expectation of free POCs, like you mentioned, Pradeep, and the hesitation around ROI are the three challenges, and this is how at least I'm addressing them in my conversation.
I love it
Answers?
because, in a sense, what you are saying is that the killer app, the oxygen cylinder, is still to emerge. And here I move on to Ashwin. Ashwin, when do you think immersive technologies will go mainstream?
I mean, are you talking about experiences or communication? Because I think really the pandemic has changed that path really, really fast, because nobody is wanting to travel, nobody is wanting to meet, but we still have to collaborate, we still have to do business, and especially large global organizations cannot stop the work we do. Teams and Zoom is there, but that there is something called as a video fatigue. We are missing the touch and feel, and hence collaborative. And if you ask people before pandemic, no one wanted to go to office. You ask them now, everyone wants to go to office because people are tired of being at home. And so we are looking at a phygital world. Not many people are going, 50% may never come back to the office to work. And we raise questions as, why do I need to come back to office to go and log into my computer and look at Zoom again, or Teams again? So can I go to office physically to just use collaborate and have those meetings and huddle, and have a space that I can, people who cannot come for that can come in virtually. So I think VR and real life is going to come in, especially then AR is going to make a big thing for collaboration. And I think phygital worlds are what large organizations around the world are looking at. So two big challenges. One is, can I get this done quickly enough, and can I get it secure enough, are two big things that industries are looking at this point of time.
So, what if I send my hologram to office, and when he comes back, I kind of shake his hands and get all that transfer of energy back, kind of a story? Do you think it will happen?
People just want to shake your head and sleep during the meetings. That's the first thing we are working towards. But there is enough of technology, especially when you're talking about cutting time. So volumetric capture of leadership being visible across the world. And I honestly, so right now we are in that journey, because onboarding and training 60,000 new joiners in our organization, having the standard experience. Earlier you could do it physically, now you can't. And talking to customers, I don't know how much you can sell via Teams and Zoom. It's all about that human experience, right? So human and technology is the most important thing. And so if I
Absolutely.
can convert avatars, which is more 2D gamey, to real life faces, and if I can relate that touch, I think that's something that we're all looking forward to, and that can close big deals.
And that includes haptics. Over to you, Manish. Last word for the day. As a user of technology, looking at it from a business perspective, when do you think, in how many years or months or days or decades do you think, VR, AR, or emerging technology will be very much part of your business?
I think, if you look at, the speed to the markets these days, it might take, years and decades to mature the technology. But when you talk about the introduction into the businesses, I think we are not talking about decades anymore. Probably we are talking about months or years for the companies. To what scale, the companies start, I think that depends upon the individual. But I would not go into, a very deep technical perspective. I think this the panelists are already sharing. But from the business side, now, if there are so many examples, even if you want to sign a document, no, it's all done electronically, these days. Even with the banks and so on, you don't get a physical signature these days. So people have adopted to these technologies. The ecosystem is getting connected, and I think people see a value of time. If we have to be competitive, I think this is what is essential.
Good. Love it. And
Pradeep, if I could
yeah,
add one word,
yes, please.
it's my humble request. I know there are around 100 people and probably all, you said 2,500 companies in Mumbai. I think, to save this industry and grow this industry, it's important to look at experience, not to just do POCs for cost. Because if the experience is, what we call as clunky, nobody's going to buy it. There's people is very misleading to say I'm using a consumer device versus a professional device and can do something in few dollars. But if the experience is not good, it will take longer to adopt. If the experience is fantastic and engaging and enabling, I think it will help the industry as a whole to absorb it fast. If money and price of technology will easily come down, but it will only happen if there's enough of user base.
I mean, you hit the thing on the head, Ashwin. End of the day, it is about what consumer or business value is being added, not about the technology per se. Hmm. And so long we are able to, in this particular case, it is very experiential. I couldn't agree more with you. And for the last comment of the day, Gulshan, any comment that you would like to make in terms of where you see this heading, mainstream?
Yes. So, as a person who works closely with consumers, right, I work on e-commerce and CRM solutions, and to me, it's already here. You name it: the Apples, the Amazons, the Flipkarts, the Pepperfries, Urban Ladder. They're giving you a 3D or an AR VR experience on their websites, on their portals today. Yeah, but at the same time, I also second Manish and Ashwin's thoughts that today they are the experiences which are being given to consumers. When will that experience trigger a purchase decision or accelerate a purchase decision? That is when we will see a shift, and I don't see it very far. It's there. It's just around the corner. We're all working on it. It's a matter of time we get it there.
I loved the discussion. Thank you so much, all three of you, Manish, Gulshan, and Ashwin. And I think the key point is that there is so much happening under the radar that I can see as I interact with people and organization and entities that we will not even realize when the tipping point has gone past us. And to my mind, when I see the level of activity, there is no two ways about it that we are already, the journey has begun. It's a question of how do we as a community and different stakeholders, how we take the walk together and make it more experiential. So take care, and I am taking a rain check of a glass of wine or a cup of tea as and when Australia opens its international borders and we think we'll travel, and I happen to come down to Bombay, Bangalore, or wherever you guys are. Thank you so much for coming over and sharing your thoughts. Now,
Our
with
pleasure.
that,
Thank
with
you.
that,
Thank you so much.
back to you, Arnav.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the speakers. I think just a couple of questions we have on the chat for all the panel members here.
Sure.
I think the question that I see are what are the panel's thought on next 5 years of XR in India in education, retail, banking, consumer, and enterprise?
So let me kind of look at the question. The question has got a couple of components. It's talked about XR, which is the broad term for VRAR. It's talked about India. It is talked about education. It is talked about banking. So there are a couple of perspectives, and let me take a stab at this question before I head it back to the panel. Now, I will just talk about that. You see, there's an incredible journey which is happening in India at the moment. Like I said, that I think Jio's launch of smart glasses last year will be remembered as a milestone when telecom companies You took this part in terms of offering content as a value-added service. Now, number one, so what is going to happen? I am seeing so much of activity in terms of certain states, you know, positioning themselves as centers for global delivery, just like what happened in the case of IT and BPO, because the cost or the skills are quite high in this particular case. Number two, you see, much will depend on the rollout for 5G. Now, let me go on to responding to the education side. You will not believe it that in the last couple of months, I'm flooded with requests from universities in India, in particular, leave aside other parts of Asia Pacific, asking for my advice and for my validation of the journey of the higher education institute into VR AR. And it is not just about offering courses, because VR AR can engage in a number of ways. It is blending with pedagogies, the way we teach. Number two, setting up a lab. Number three is doing research. Number four is teaching VR AR subjects like Unity, Unreal, and 3D modeling, etc. And number five is professional development. So there is tons which is happening at the moment. Now, when it comes to banking and all that, in VR ARA, we have a community of practice which is focused on to financial services. And what the group came out to be was a virtual bank, an XR bank kind of a situation. But when we took it to the leaders in financial services, they had even a better idea. They said that why don't we look at starting the customer experience when he or she is at home? Let's say that they are looking for buying a car and are looking for finance for that. So starting from it and going all the way up to banking. So there's tons happening. Now, anybody else in the group who would like to add on?
So I can add.
Maybe
I
can.
Yes,
Okay,
Danny, who wants to give it? Yes, Ashwin, you start off.
So I think it's only a matter of time, and India is on the journey. 5G will play a big role. It's all about ARPU, right? What is the average rate per user? So a large firm, like today we're a banking scenario, we have bank managers. If that was available as a customer support with visual in terms of a hologram or something like that, will definitely help. If you talk about education, there's a huge demand of learning. Which is all content is already there. For me, I think it's just a matter of time, and we probably see it more faster than expected because everybody's working in this direction.
Gulshan, anything you want to add?
I think the speed is going to be different for each of these sectors. While 5G will definitely accelerate and it will bring the power of cloud computing, 5G can allow us to remove a lot of limitations which we have in our current hardware and technology. Yeah. But at the same time, adoption, I see it could go much faster in consumer and enterprise than probably in banking. But then that's just me. Education, consumer, enterprise could move much faster. Each of these sectors have their own pace. But India would definitely lead XR in the next 4 to 5 years' time compared to the rest of the world.
Fabulous. What about you, Manish? Any comments?
I think we should talk from the generation perspective. If you have kids, talk to your kids, and they will tell you, when this technology is coming in. When I speak to my son and I ask him to compare, whether he would like to go into the real school now, the answer was different when it started with the pandemic, but the answer is a lot different now if I ask him. I think the kids can tell you they definitely will face some challenges if they go to a normal classroom kind of setup. They can't use the modern technology to collaborate. They can't use the modern technology to discuss, to make projects, and so many things which they can currently do. It's not just MS Teams, by the way. It's a lot more than MS Teams. So I think it has to be thought in that way. How do we balance, this current experience which the kids are going through, and when the lockdown or let's say unlock starts, and then they have to go into a real environment. So I think it's a food for thought. But if we talk about the current generation, I think we really have to look for something which comes now, not even tomorrow.
Okay, so I see another question because I was actually not looking at the chat. I was so involved in talking to you guys. I see another question which is about how do we see VR, AR in OTT space? Now here, I just want to respond to who's the person is Prachi Narang. Prachi, I just want to give you an example of what is happening in the OTT space. Just now, VRARA has global summits in the month of June and in September, October. In the month of June, I had presented two wonderful leaders, who are members of VRARA community. One was a guy called Chaitanya. He is the vice president of Whistling Woods, as well as he's got a couple of other roles with Whistling Woods. He's a CTO and head of business and what all kind of stuff, you know. And there was another guy who was a filmmaker. So we discussed in that virtual production. Now, virtual production is really having a sea change in the way storytelling is happening, both in OTT as well as in the cinema space. I mean, just imagine that you are able to visualize everything and do stuff before the actual scene is being shot, you know. So there is tremendous amount of work which is happening, and in fact, just like OTT, the VR immersive platform is emerging a separate platform by itself. So, anything else the panel would like to add on to this question?
I think it's followed. The topic is followed next, and Chaitanya is here on this panel, so he's here on this call. So I think Chaitanya will dwell with better later. But I think you can the art of production will change in the future because 360 video and you don't have to frame a camera angle anymore if you can use volumetric 3D video captures the whole different perspectives. Tomorrow we will be able to direct our own movies by ourselves because we can change perspectives very easily, and I'm sure Chaitanya is the master in this and he will talk about it in detail, so I'll reserve my comments.
And as well as this was the TV side of the brain of Ashwin speaking up, because in his early life he was a creative person. So anything else, Gulshan or Manish, on this question?
Yeah, I think my only request is whatever you guys develop, make sure we don't lose the personal interest. It's always good to have, in a hotel, nice dialogue, with the front desk people, nice dialogue with the chef and so on. So keep that intact.
I couldn't agree more with you. Now let's look at, I can't see anything else. Any other question? Arnav, can you see any other question?
I think, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think we are covered.
And okay, now the last one is from Vikram. Vikram, I'll just make a comment on your question is how risk-free is AR, VR, MR in factory and medical industry vertical. Health is the third most take-up industry insofar as AR, VR is concerned. Now, health impacts in a number of ways. It impacts on the patient side, it impacts on the carer side, it impacts on the medical practitioner side, and it impacts on the management side. Just imagine from a medical practitioner side that today what is happening is that you can actually mimic the surgery that is going to happen. You can get all the inputs in terms of CT scans, X-rays, etc., and kind of practice. So for a training perspective, absolutely gung ho. Another example I can give you is for alcohol abuse, drug abuse. Just imagine that you want to teach people that you are driving on the road and you should not drink before driving, kind of a stuff, and you just take them through the virtual experience in terms of what happens if you are driving. There's so many examples. Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a fabulous case of how do you get the carers of Alzheimer's to understand what a person of Alzheimer's is undergoing. So there are so many cases which are coming up in health. And in terms of the factory kind of a situation, man, this is full of it. Industry 4.0 is all about this. It is all about, in the manufacturing process, in the design process, the digital twin which is coming up is one of the forerunners for that. And again, I think we're running out of time. So any comment that anybody from the panel would like to make on this question on the health and factory?
So I can take it. I mean, we just won some global awards for XR for Good. We just, so one of the examples is more psychological. We had 360 degree video created for jailers, for people who've been jailed. So prisoners who are now getting rehabilitated to take job interviews. So we created an experience for them to, using VR to answer multiple questions and judge their reactions so that it enabled them to go back to society. and that won us huge amount of awards globally. So different aspects of medical, but psychological trainings and enablements are the things that we've done as well.
Okay, time's up, guys. And once again, I already said thank you to you before, but again,
Yes.
once more. So, a big thank you to all of you, and look forward to catching up with you, of course, virtually and in person, as and when the situation kind of warrants. And back to you, Arnav.